get into Temple. And you might be saying, oh, I can get in, that's fine, I'm good enough. If they like me as a baseball player, that'll help me out. But if you're a same baseball player, you're a 4.0, we want you even more, because that brings up our entire team GPA. In theory, if you do going into college, it brings up, it helps balance things out. So the reality of it is, I don't know if it works the same at every school, but if we get a 4.0 student in, well, maybe they'll let us get somebody kind of on the 2.9 side of things once in a while, or wherever that middle line is. So just because your grades are good enough to get into a specific school, you become more valuable to a baseball team if you're higher even within that same institution. So they matter more than I realize as a high schooler. Hopefully that helps a little bit.
Let me draw a line in the sand for you. A school like mine, we're a little different than everyone else, where we give academic money along with baseball money to most of the guys on our team. If you're above a 3.5, that academic money doesn't count against my scholarship total. If you're under a 3.5, I've got to carry it on my total every year. So if I've got two equal players, one uses a 3.6 and one uses a 3.4, I got to go with the 3.6 guy because it's exponentially cheaper for me. That being said, if I give you academic money, you come to school and don't get a 3.0, that money counts on top of me going forward. So I've got to make the bet on the kid that I'm sure is going to come into school and perform at the level he came in at. If you don't, it hurts me for 4 years down the line. So the grades absolutely matter, even as much as 0.2 percentage points on either side of 3.5 a lot of times.
Just on top of what Coach was saying, few, if any, players are going to receive a full athletic scholarship. And you like to try to put together the best package for yourself that you can. And that's where the academic money comes in. So you're looking at a GPA of 3.5. Your academic money that you get will help your parents out. And that stuff goes a long way.
You know, like Jimmy said, I mean, the reality of it is my school costs $50,000 to go to school there for 1 year. So the higher GPA you guys get, the less money mom and dad are going to spend on you guys going to school. So we only have 11.7 scholarships at the Division I level. And out of those 11.7, we don't give out very many full scholarships. Unless you're frontline pitching, the higher end, you give out close to 75, 80%, even up to the 90s sometimes. But if you're not at the high end of pitching, the reality is you need to find ways to get money other ways. And that academic money is huge. So it's up to you guys to, to get good grades and do really good on your SATs, ACTs. It's going to help you guys out.
I mean, that stuff takes sacrifice. I mean, this is an extreme case, but when I was in high school and I was being recruited, I had to take my SATs 5 times because I was trying to get that high score so I can get that little bit of extra academic money. It takes sacrifice, just like you guys work on the field, just like you guys are working here, working on your baseball, you need to work on your sports too, because really that stuff helps out your parents a lot. It helps out you in the long run too. So when you graduate college and you move on, you're not paying those big loans that you have left over.
Just to jump in on the emails, guys, and things to include. TCNJ, we're very strong academically. One of the things we want to see in the email, as all the other coaches said, is we want to see grades, and we need to see SAT scores. And I can't speak for everybody up here, but when you put your SAT scores in at TCNJ, we're only looking at the 2-part. All right, we're not looking at that new 3rd part in there. That's not really something that qualifies as of right now for our school. So, putting in SAT scores, we've had guys that have entered all 3, and we're sitting there saying, all right, he's above a 3.0, and he's in a good range for us SAT-wise. They might have, a 13 something or a 14 or 1500, and we're saying, all right, this kid should be a no-brainer to get into school. And when it comes down to it, we look at it, we're getting kickback from admissions saying, that was a 3-part SAT. We can't let this kid come in because there's so much competition everywhere else.
And I would say with the emails, don't lie on those emails, all right? You have a certain GPA, let us know what that GPA is. Don't say you have a 3.0 and then we get your transcripts and you have a 4. I mean, make sure you're honest with that, and athletically, make sure you're honest. Everyone says they throw 90 miles an hour, but honestly, tell us what you throw, and again with the videos and stuff like that, we'll be able to tell a little bit with that. So make sure you're honest in your emails. Don't make up stuff about yourself. We talk to a lot of people, and we can find things out real quick. So make sure you're honest to us. Okay.
got one. What happens when you get, like, let's say, for example, you get academic money and you have to maintain a certain GPA? Like, let's say it's a 3.3 and you drop below that. What happens to that money that was given to you to the university?
At Temple, they can take it away. I don't know of any situation where it's actually been taken away, but they have the ability to take it away. That's kind of the threat. So, yeah, you need to maintain. If you get an academic scholarship, you need to maintain a certain level of your GPA needs to be at a certain level, depending on which level academic scholarship you get. That's how it works for us.
We have probation periods too, where you're on, 1 semester probation. You guys have to get back on to whatever GPA you guys need to get back to maintain that academic scholarship. But if you do it more than 1 semester, then they cut your academic money out.
Now, you have potential also to lose athletic money if you drop below a 2.0 in air conference. If you drop below a 2.0, you become ineligible, and then they'll pull that athletic money from you. You can't, if you're not on the team, they can't continue to give you that athletic money. So you got to make sure you maintain above the minimum GPA of conference.
Barry, what do you got?
If you get injured, can you lose your athletic money?
No, it's against the rules for a school to do that. So, I mean, I can speak to the ethical practices of what we do. I mean, you get to know a coach, I think you realize what kind of a guy they are, and you're not supposed to do that, but I don't know of anybody who does. So if something like that ever arises, it's a bad situation. It's not supposed to.
Victor, what do you got?
Oh, my son. We got 14 teams here, and I assume that all you guys are down for, in February, March. So, generally speaking, what kind of opportunities for tutors or extra schooling is there a way to school for that?
I could say that when we go on the road, we give every professor that our student athletes are involved with, they get a paper, and our school has an agreement with the athletic department that we're doing a service for the university. So all the professors sign the paper, just like our student athletes do as well. They're allowed to miss class and make up whatever work they need to on the road. We also have tutors that come on the road and study hall hours that we administer. 6 hours usually on the road and 6 hours during the week. Unless you're academically in trouble, we add hours to that, around 10 a week. So we have study center, student athlete development center, where they have access to all kinds of tutors they need free of charge, part of the athletic department. And we have academic advisors that every sport has their own academic advisor, and they work with to make sure that they stay on pace to graduation.
I think that'll vary a lot school to school as well. So St. John's travels with a tutor or academic advisor. I think we're actually going to start doing that this year, but we haven't in the past. Other schools might not even have one for specific sport. I would say the different divisions is probably where you see the biggest differences, but even within Division I baseball, there's all different levels of academic research. So that's a good individual question for each school.
Conferences are different too. I know in the Big East, they play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. In the MAC, we play doubleheader on Saturday and game on Sunday, so they're not missing as much class. We'll go to our classes on Friday morning and then go from there. And that stuff, like I said, differs between conferences as well.
And during the registration process, I know this occurs for most schools, is with your advisors. What we do is we will block off times to not schedule classes. So for our seniors who end up having to take a Friday class that's only offered one section, okay, we'll eat that one. You'll miss a couple classes and you'll have to do the work to catch up. But instead of trying to swim upstream, we'll schedule Monday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday classes primarily to try to avoid the problems of missing class. And they did a study at our school. Out of all 17 sports, we were the team that missed the least classes due to games because scheduling it that way and with playing 56 games, it's a pretty good accomplishment for us.
Actually, speaking on behalf of a Division III school, We don't travel nearly as much as Division I does. We stay more local in New Jersey, tri-state area, New York, Pennsylvania. So we also offer the athletic advisory staff member. As a team, we provide and make it mandatory for students to do a certain number of hours in study hall a week. And there's been times where a kid runs onto the field, you didn't do your study hall, it's Friday afternoon, go. And we'll send them up into study hall and complete it, you know, an hour before the game. So we try to handle that as strictly as possible because you're paying for an education, especially at Division II school. We don't offer a scholarship as Division I, Division II. So a lot pertains to the academic and academic money. If you fall behind that line, you do have the opportunity to lose it. A school can take it away. So we really stress at the Division III level that you get in there, you do your work, and it'll pay off on the field as well. So we offer the advisory staff member. We offer mandatory study hall meetings, mandatory meetings, and we really closely monitor that. We don't miss as much classes because we block off certain hours as well. For example, 8 to 2 just say, try to fit your schedule within 8 to 2 or 7:30 on class so that you can fit a travel schedule, a practice schedule, and games when the time comes.
As coaches, what type of events do you guys need to like go to more to get like for us to get exposure? What do you think could be like? There's always a perfect game. I think then there's places like this. What would you recommend for us to get the most exposure to college? Place to do it.
An event like this is great, I think. How often are you going to be able to really play in front of this many coaches on this close of a scale, and there's interaction involved? As soon as it's a camp, labeled as a camp, we can interact like we are right now. If you're at a perfect game event, technically we can't interact with you until after the event. So events like these are great, and my advice would be to kind of try to narrow down to a handful of ones that you might be interested in and go that route. Otherwise, the bank account gets small really quick if you're trying to do things like this every single weekend, because there's a lot of them to choose from. Find some schools that you might be interested in, find out where they're going to be, and pick a few. That would be my advice.
You guys should go to the camps at schools you're interested in, and you have a pretty good chance to play at, or if you think you do. All right, because I know when we run our camps, if we have with guys for 2 days, if we like them as players, they'll know about it at camp or shortly thereafter. If we're not contacting you after one of our camps, probably don't think you're at our level as a player. So once again, that can get expensive too. You can't go to like 8 camps. Maybe some of you can, but you know, pick the schools that you're most interested in academically. You think you're at that level baseball-wise, and go to those specific camps because you're going to be in front of those coaches a lot. You know. An event like this is great, but at our camp, it's pretty small. All of our coaches are there. We're seeing you. We'll have a very good read on whether we think you can play for us if you come to our camp. And I'm sure it's like that for all these guys here.
Yeah, we want to be realistic with it in the sense that, you know, if you're an average high school player, you don't necessarily want to try to go for the university school. You know what I'm saying? So narrow it down to schools that you're honestly serious about playing collegiate ball. Narrow it down to the schools that you have a chance of starting in, and go from there. Branch out to schools that, you know, are on the same division, same competition level. And in all honesty, it's you playing however much you want to play. So you can go from there and branch out to realistic schools.
Junior college transfers, do they have to graduate or can they come in any semester?
Depends on your status out of high school.
If they're qualifiers?
And that's NCAA, that's not schools.
Might vary within the
I can only speak for Division I on that one. That might be different.
Just to answer for you guys, we're the same way probably as you guys. We don't need anyone. We don't need the person to graduate from Division II, but they have to fulfill a certain number of credits for them to come through as well.
you maybe just tell the boys what a sample of a fall day is like, a winter day, or a winter week of practice? You know, sort of know what an in-season day is like, or a week. But are you restricted on the number of practices you can have in the fall?
That's gonna vary from school to school. Division I, Division II, Division III, they all have separate rules on how many practices they can have in the fall. We have a 45-day window to get in 2014 practices in the fall. So what we'll do Tuesday, Thursday practices, where guys are kind of split up by position. And then Friday we'll go team practice, full team practice. We'll do our full team defense. And at the same time, we're getting our strength and conditioning in at 6 a.m. in the morning. So those guys are waking up 6 a.m., they're in the weight room, doing their conditioning, their weight training, then they're going to class, and then on Tuesdays, Thursdays, actually at East Stroudsburg, which is nice, there's no class scheduled in between 2 and 4 in the whole campus. So we hold our practice times right at 2, and our guys aren't missing class or have to miss practice, so it's perfect. And then they'll go get something to eat, and then our freshmen who are in study hall will be in study hall 6 to 8 p.m. That's a typical Tuesday, Thursday for our fall guys.
What about the winter? What is that like?
After that 45-day window, we have individual sessions where you can bring in 6 players per session. You can go 2 hours per week, so each player can go 2 hours per week. So we'll bring our position players in, and they'll do their hitting for an hour on Tuesday and hitting for an hour on Thursday. And then our pitchers will come in and throw their flat ground and get in and out. So it's pretty laid back once our 45-day window ends.
Yeah, that's going to vary from division to division. At the Division III level, fall season, you have 16 days from whenever you choose to start once the first semester starts. And so for TCNJ, our schedule is typically Tuesday, Wednesday, starting at around 12:30 or 1 o'clock, and we're going to about 4:30, and then we go Saturday, Sundays with practices or inter squads and stuff like that. We're only allowed 1 day of games. If we play more than that 1 day of games, it takes away from our spring schedule, and we start to lose stuff like that. Once we conclude those 16 days, what we then get into is we're restricted at the Division III level of really having contact with our players athletically. So we assign a weight training program for the players to get into the weight room. We have plyometric training that gets run by our coaching staff, but we're not allowed to say that that's a baseball workout. So that's open to the entire school. So we have some of the softball players come in. We have football players that come in after their season's done to do their workouts and stuff like that. So we're really heavily restricted building up to that. And then once we come back for that second semester, we're starting the week after, so we let you get acclimated to the classroom again. You're getting used to your new professors and stuff like that. That next week we start up with practices, just getting ready for our spring season and trying to get ready to roll.
Do you guys have a selection committee that actually says, okay, you know, or is it just you and your head coach in a room deciding on who you're taking, who you're offering?
We have open room. So our head coach, obviously, we have recruiting coordinator, which is our hitting coach. We have a pitching coach. They go out recruit. We're only allowed to have three coaches out recruiting. I think it's 2 at one time. Is that right? So to speak. But yeah, then everybody kind of talks within themselves, watch a video on the kid, things like that.
It's an open discussion. We'll go out and recruit. Everyone will go out and recruit, basically come back with what they got. And then at the end of the day, it's going to be the head coach's call. I know at our place, it's the head coach's call. He deals with all the money and all that stuff. So we'll give him advice. We'll tell him to go see. And then at the end of the day, it's usually the head coach's decision.
Again, I'll throw out at the Division III level. We have to be really accurate on what we're doing. Just because we don't get the athletic scholarships, we're restricted there. We're not allowed to offer any of that stuff. So they're called special talents. You're allotted 2 at TCNJ. Each school is a little bit different. For baseball, we're allotted 2 special talents per season. And that would be a kid that, you know, we really want to get in. Maybe they're not up to the academic achievement marks that we need for the school. If we place that on them, it's still not a guarantee that we get that kid into the school. But we kind of sit down, open room discussion, say, all right, here's the kids that we've taken a look at, and these are the kids that we think are going to get in and be able to then try out for our team. But there's nobody, at the Division III level, we can say, all right, we've gone out and we've looked at this kid, we've spoken to him, so that's a recruit. But there's no guaranteed spot. We can't attach money to say, we're giving you a scholarship to come in. So there's no guarantee that just because we spoke to you, you're going to come in and you're guaranteed to be on that roster come the spring.
And to go off him, we're only allowed 11.7 scholarships for a 35-man roster. So we gotta divide it up pretty, smartly, so to say. We don't give out full rides because there's just not enough money to go around. So we have to be real careful what we do. So again, what I was saying before, the head coach's decision, we're gonna try to see a guy 5, 6, 7, as many times as we possibly can before we make a decision. Because, like we were saying before, if you get hurt or if you play poorly, we're not going to take your money away. It's going to be on us. So between 11.7 scholarships and 35 guys, it's got to be pretty. You got to know what you're doing and be smart with who you take, and that's why the grades are important. And that's why all that stuff plays into effect. It's not just your ability on the field. It's you're going to be able to keep it up in the classroom and on the field, and you try to get the right kid.
What's the importance of having like a secondary position? Is that something that you as coaches will look at?
I know, especially at Division II, we only have 28 rostered athletes. So with dual guys especially, we take an extremely good look at them because with only having 28 guys and playing 5 or 6 games a week, we need guys that can pitch and play a different position as well. So I know especially at the Division II level, where our rosters are smaller, we rely heavily on dual guys.
Piggyback off that, people get injured like it's nothing. It happens all the time. So at the Division II level, you see people bouncing back position to position throughout the season because it's a long season. So these guys get hurt, and the next thing you know, you have someone filling in the spot.
For us, versatility as a position player, if you're a catcher that can play outfield, that's almost bigger for us than a pitcher who can hit a little bit. It's so demanding to try to be a position player and a pitcher that generally what you just do is end up being pretty average at both. You don't excel at the one that you could have gotten better at. So for us, as a general rule, if you're a better pitcher, you're probably just going to pitch. If you're a better hitter and you can pitch and you're a little bit raw, then we look at things a little bit closer. But versatility as a position guy, I think is one of the biggest things when you're building a roster, because if you have guys who can play 5, 6 spots at a time, that's huge for you. So with injuries, with the way your roster has to be built, big thing.
Is there a limit on Division III roster size?
It's by the school. Some of the schools will carry a JV program. We used to do that at TCNJ. It was eliminated from our budget. So we try and keep our roster around 30 guys. Now sometimes, depending on the talent that comes in, that number might bump up 2 or 3 guys, but we try and stick to around 30. So again, that roster, versatility as a player, being able to play multiple positions, definitely helps. But just to, bouncing off what some of these guys have said, where you excel is where you're going to be. So if we have a guy who's on the mound, that's got some promise, that's where you're going to stay. I've been a coach for 5 years up at TCNJ, and I was a player there for another 3. And so in those 8 years, we've had one guy in that time that's done both as a pitcher and a hitter in 8 years. So it just doesn't happen that much. But as a position player, if you're able to bounce around to different spots, that's definitely going to help us.
Out of the 35-man roster, how many pitchers and catchers are here?
I think we have 15, 16 pitchers this year, and 19 hitters. So it's pretty even. It's pretty even. So, but there is definitely a full staff of pitchers, and then there's probably going to be about 2 to a position in the field, maybe about 3 or 4 catchers that'll have a little bit more. But for the most part, it's going to be a lot of pitchers, and then not that much depth in the field. And that's why it's so important to have guys who can play different positions, because you try not to load up one position so guys can play around different positions.
Can all the schools redshirt?
Yeah, we redshirt. I don't know about that.
What does it mean when, because I'm sure a lot of these kids don't understand, like, what does it mean if, like, you're a walk-on player, or you're a scholarship player, and then, coach asks you to redshirt?
Well, once you step on first day, when you step on campus, the whole scholarship walk-on thing to us really doesn't matter. Once you're on the team, you're on the team, and everyone's going to get a fair shake. Everyone's going to get an equal opportunity to play. So just because you got money